Welcome to our city, and joining me this week to discuss the upcoming Tour de Elizabeth 2012 is Jonathan Phillips. He's the Executive Director of Groundwork Elizabeth, Emerson Amador of Alligator Property Management, and Angel Rodriguez of State Farm Insurance and Tour Sponsor. Both are previous tour riders. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So who's the two previous riders?
We were.
Yeah.
I think it's time we get Jonathan out there and let him experience some of that pain, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So how was your experience when you rode?
I had a great experience. I did it with my daughter, and it was just it's a great ride. It's a leisurely ride. Nice to drive around and see all the sights and the historical significance of the spots in the city. It was a good ride.
And your experience?
I loved it. I've rode it for the last 4 years with my son and daughter, and it was a great experience. We've had so-so weather, but that didn't dampen the spirits of everyone who participated.
Okay. So now we're approaching our 9th year, and Jonathan, how is it possible to make this 9th year any different than previous years?
Well, first of all, we couldn't have done it for the first 8 years if it wasn't for the city and the mayor's assistance, the Department of Public Works, the police department, recreation department. So we're real thankful for them and for the sponsors that help us also. This year, how do we make it more exciting? Well, we're actually changing the location. We've gotten so big that we're moving from our old place, Union Square, at the corner of Elizabeth Avenue and First Avenue, down to in front of City Hall. It's called Winfield Scott Park. And talk about historical significance, as Emerson was bringing up, General Winfield Scott was a hero in the War of 1812 and actually was the first Union general for the Civil War, and that park was named after him.
Okay. Now, Emerson, before we go any further, as you talk about history, what's the story with this bicycle?
There's a history right there. Actually, this bike was bought at Jonathan's shop, at Morris Aaron shop, about 40 years ago. And I recently restored it, and it will be ridden in this tour.
Okay.
Yeah.
How old is the bike, roughly?
Bike is a 1975, 76. Yeah, so I would say 34, 5. Yeah, 40 years, give or take.
I don't want to touch the bike, but there's actually a way of finding out. Is if you look at a Schwinn, an old, authentic, made in Chicago Schwinn like this, you can actually look at the serial number, and the date is actually
the date.
Preston, we don't want to touch it right now, but it's in there.
Yeah.
Before we leave here today, we'll have Jonathan verify it.
All right, you got it.
Rechristen it or something. So. Angel, I understand that you and State Farm have been a sponsor of the tour for a number of years. Now, as a sponsor, what kind of benefits have you enjoyed and as a rider?
As a relatively new business owner, the number one thing that would be beneficial to me is exposure, and the tour has given me that. It's allowed a national company like State Farm to represent underserved communities, and it's also given me an opportunity to ride with my family and a day of fun.
Okay. Now, Jonathan, as you talked, how do you organize and fund this? I mean, we saw a small example right there, but how does that work?
Well, the organization is, we've got a wonderful bicycle committee. Many of the people from the bicycle committee have been with us for a number of years. Some are from the city, some are from other walks of life. Everybody has a different talent, they bring it to us. Also, we reach out to corporate sponsors who help us. Actually, this year's theme, we'll talk about just in a few moments, but it's Elizabeth's architecture, and one of our sponsors, who happens to be a governmental entity, is Union County, the Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders. And we got a HEART grant, history, education, arts reaching thousands, that's what the HEART stands for, and they helped us formulate this architectural theme this year.
Now, the money that's taken in, who benefits from this tour and the proceeds?
Well, in terms of the tour itself, who benefits? The answer is really everybody. If you're riding, your heart, your lungs are going to benefit. The city's image is going to benefit because it really shows people that haven't ridden, haven't seen Elizabeth, or haven't seen this part of Elizabeth, the view of Elizabeth. It's good for Union County. It's good for the economic atmosphere, as you can hear by both of these gentlemen over here. I'm sure they'll tell you that, they'll echo that. And in the end, it's also good for Groundwork Elizabeth, which benefits from some of the proceeds of this. Our mission, our nonprofit's mission and goals are changing places, changing lives, and we use the environment as a tool to bring people back into the community to take ownership of their lives.
One of the interesting things I found about the tours each year, the changes you make. and how you come up with a different theme. What's the theme for this year?
The theme for this year is Elizabeth's architecture from the seat of a bicycle. We've got some amazing types of architecture in this city, such as Georgian architecture. We have the historic buildings, the Belcher Mansion, St. John's Parsonage. We've got Art Deco, like the Ritz Theater, Hearst Tower. We've got Gothic, such as some of our churches. We've got institutional, such as City Hall, which was built during the Great Depression, and the courthouse, which was built a little bit prior to that. We've also got landscape architecture in Matano Park and the Elizabeth River Trail, which we're actually just building now. That was a vision of Frederick Law Olmsted, the country's and the world's actual first landscape architect. And then we also have one other part of architecture that, I'm going to make up this word, I don't know if it exists. Social architecture. That's what Groundwork does. We really build the foundation of the community from the ground up. So there we are, working with people in communities, getting them knowledgeable about the environment. That's the foundation. We fill it in with programs. That's the main floor. And funding to make it all happen tops the roof.
Now, as a person rides this tour, how will they have a chance to look at some of this architect? I mean, is the route the same or has it been changed?
The route is entirely different this year. For those who have ridden it before, get ready. It's different. Follow those red arrows, okay? But we do have marshals, which will take you along the way.
Okay.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. You'll be able to see where you're going. What was that question again now?
Well, for one, reiterate the fact that things have changed, as we stated earlier on, that no longer are you at the same location, which is Elizabeth Avenue. Things have moved.
Yeah, so we're going through definitely different parts of the city. We are going down Elizabeth Avenue. We're going down along the waterfront. We are coming right back. Our halfway point, which we usually have, has been in a remote location. This year, the halfway point is exactly the same as the starting point. So those people with families that don't think they can make it, they can bring them right back to the starting point. We'll have a brief stop there, and we'll continue the other 8 miles or so. I think that's the 7-mile point.
Okay. So in preparation for a tour like this, what should someone do?
Well, the first thing they should do is get their bike out, make sure it's safe, okay? Put some air in the tires, make sure your brakes work, take it around the block, and then start to prepare yourself too. Don't just jump on the bike and do 15 miles without doing it for the whole year. You might be surprised.
I tried that. It's not good.
I think we have 3 guilty parties.
I just got on my bike for the first time about 2 weeks ago, and ouch, it hurt. I mean, really, when you don't ride something for a while, your bike for a while, you feel it. So go around the block a few times. It's really easy. We make it easy. It's 15 miles. It's escorted professionally by the Elizabeth Police Department. They do rolling closings, but really, you got to get on your bike, and you got to be able to really ride a little bit to do it.
Well, I thought, you know, here's a guy who rode a bike 40 years ago. I can ride it again. So I didn't do all that. And I just rode. So we're going to take a brief break, and we'll come back with the second half. Okay?
Okay.
All right. We'll be back with the second half of Our City after these words. Thank you.
The streets aren't the only place kids find drugs. Sometimes they find them at home. You can help stop prescription drug abuse by safeguarding medications in your home, encouraging friends and family members to do the same, and asking your pharmacist how to dispose of medications you no longer need.
Hello, I'm Mayor Chris Bolwage. Misusing medication can be dangerous, even deadly. To learn how you can prevent drug abuse in our community, please visit safeguardmymeds.org.
Welcome back to the second half of Our City, where we're talking about the upcoming 2012 Tour de Elizabeth. And Jonathan, as you touched earlier about preparation, what other safety items should someone bring along? Maybe a helmet or?
A helmet is required,
okay.
And it's certainly common sense anyway, but I believe it's a law in New Jersey, 14 up has to wear a helmet, but we require everybody, even if you're taking a child in a child seat, definitely have a helmet.
Okay. Now, Emerson, you rode.
Yes.
Share with us your experience in the tour.
It was a great ride. Very flat, very easy ride. I like to restore the bicycles, and I like to ride them a little bit, but I'm not a super hardcore cyclist.
Right.
More of a leisurely rider. But if I could do it, anybody could do it. It's a lot of fun, and with the kids and the family, it's good.
And Angel, your experience?
The first time I took my daughter, who I think was around 9, at that time, and she could only complete half of it, so I used that as an excuse to stop also. But after that, she completed the whole thing, and then my son's going to do the whole thing this year. So if we all can do it, I'm sure anybody can, and it's been a great experience.
Okay. Have you had any customers who wrote in? If you did?
Oh yes, absolutely. I actually have to submit the list to Jonathan of the customers that we sponsor. We put it on our Facebook page. If you would like to ride, just let me know your name and we'll sponsor you.
And how's it affected their view of the city?
I think it's been very positive. You generally associate these tours with huge metropolitan areas, so sometimes people are surprised that this is happening in their own backyard. And I think it gives Elizabeth more of a cosmopolitan feel.
Okay. Now, Jonathan, this year we talked about things changing. Give us a rundown of what will happen on that day of the event.
Well, this year, for the first time, we're going to have a radio station, professional radio station come in, New Jersey 101.5 FM. They're going to come in with contests and giveaways and prizes. That'll be in the morning. Also, our own professional DJ that we've used for the past 8 tours is coming back. We're really happy. Colorblind Productions,
okay.
Rob and Diane Velez. And people will then re-register when they get there to make sure that they are registered. They still can register on site. It's $15 if you pre-register,
right,
which guarantees you a hat and a t-shirt. We may still have some left, not sure. So when you get there, you can still register. We want you to ride. At that point in time, we'll line up, and we send off the speedy guys, let's put it that way, first, so they can go. They finish the whole ride in probably about an hour.
Right.
Most people take an hour and a half. So then the rest of everybody else goes. We have a little session. The mayor talks about the city, welcomes everybody. Then Jimmy Kearns, who is our police department representative, talks about the safety issues, and then boom, we take off. Again, there's a rest stop after 7 miles.
Right.
We finish the ride. The next 8 miles is the end of it, and afterwards we've got tables set up in the beginning and the end with vendors, certain sponsors. We're going to be selling plants. It's a groundwork sort of thing. We have a community gardening initiative, and we're going to be selling tomato plants and things like that.
Right.
So there'll be a lot going on at the event before and after as well.
And the good thing about it is not one of those speed race bikes tours where everybody's doing 100 miles an hour. As it said earlier, it's for the entire family. And if someone can't finish it, he just had the testimony. But what happens?
Yeah, as is evidenced by these 2 gentlemen here, most people can make it. However, if
Emerson couldn't finish it either? Or?
My daughter was I was struggling a little bit, but I made it.
But let's say, like I said, you get really tired, or you get a flat tire. The police department has a SAG wagon, which is going to pick you up and bring you back home.
Okay. And Emerson, how do you think the tour helps the city's image?
I think it's great for the city. I've encountered people that I know in the past events who were really surprised driving around Elizabeth. They just don't know. They don't know it until they physically see it. And in my business as a property manager, I want to entice people to come and invest in the city. I think it's a very positive thing for the city.
And I also think that it's a good, shows the city's diversity.
Yes.
Angel, does the ride reach across cultural lines in your opinion?
It does. I personally sponsor people who don't live in this community, people who are from the suburbs, and they're all pleasantly surprised at what a great city Elizabeth is, what it has to offer with shopping, with dining, and I think it's a very positive and good commercial for the city.
So you would say that it impacts the diverse communities?
Absolutely.
Okay. And Jonathan, medical services, are they available?
Yes, the EMT, which is now part, maybe EMS, I'm sorry, but part of the Elizabeth Fire Department, Rich Bedrisky, they really do a wonderful job. In fact, they know where everybody is at every moment, too. So I'm amazed. And luckily, it's been a real safe ride. We haven't had any real big problems in the past 8 years, and we plan to keep it that way, too.
Now, Emerson, if you can go back and remember, how did you hear about the tour the first time?
I think it probably ran into Jonathan and started mentioning it or whatever, and it was mostly a pamphlet or a flyer that I got, and that hooked me instantly. You know, I'm into bicycles and the whole thing. I like the city, you know, the touring around, and I thought it was a good thing.
Now, being that you rode with your daughter, did you ride in the, what's the first segment called?
The fast
advance?
pack, yeah. No, she was always about 20 yards in front of me, though. She's not one of the hardcore cyclists,
Right.
but she's recreational. But it's a relatively easy ride to do.
So you found your comfort zone of where you
I
fit
found the
in, right?
comfort zone. Yeah, I just kind of kicked back and just took it easy.
Okay. And Jonathan, what's the three groups? Is there a name for them, or?
Well, we have Speedy and everybody else. We mix everybody else in. Speedy is, they know who they are.
Right.
I mean, they're almost professional riders.
Right.
And then we have
And they
what we
take off
call
first.
moderate level
Right.
and then family together.
Right.
And I'd say 80% of people are pretty much moderate.
Right.
They come out and they just want to have a good time.
So there's three groups that take off. The first one's for those who just want to zoom.
Right.
And then the second one's for intermediate.
Right.
And the last one's for
families.
Emerson. And,
Yeah. For the
Exactly
kids.
right.
okay. And which group did you find yourself in?
Well, since I started with my daughter, we did the family one.
Okay,
so,
that was the last one.
But once we get started, we were able to catch up to everyone and finish the race relatively easily.
Okay. And the route this year, Jonathan?
The route is 15.3 miles. It again leaves from City Hall, goes around different various locations in Elizabeth, past some real great architectural points,
Okay.
and back to City Hall.
And the cost for this year for each rider, what's the cost?
The cost is, if you sign up ahead of time, it's $15. You can use the application. If you find paper applications around the bicycle stores, most people choose to sign up online at www.groundworkelizabeth.com or, of course, www.elizabethnj.org. That's the city's website.
Okay.
And again, it's $15 if they sign up ahead of time. That guarantees them the hat, the shirt. If they come to the location, it's $20 on the day of the
Now,
ride.
one thing earlier I asked you about the changes over the years. I don't know if you forgot to mention or not, but I see you guys adapted to social media and went on to Facebook.
We sure have. You've got to do that. You've got to keep up with the times.
Right.
And there's a Groundwork Elizabeth website, which is for our organization. But regarding the tour, there's actually a Tour
Right.
Day Elizabeth Facebook site. And I'd like people to know that last year we actually accidentally set up a Tour Day Elizabeth 2011 website.
Right.
This year we corrected it. There's a Tour Day Elizabeth website. So make sure if you're on the old one, please sign up for the new one.
And if someone wanted to get information as far as Facebook, the actual site is Tour de Elizabeth.
Tour, capital T, Tour Day, D-E, and Elizabeth.
Okay. And I don't want to get you in trouble, but some of the sponsors?
Some of the sponsors, we've got quite a few, and Elberon Development Company has been really a great advocate and sponsor for us for years. I'm just going to run through them real quickly. Elizabeth PBA has been great, Waste Management, ConocoPhillips, Colinelli Brothers, they're building the River Trail, Infinium USA, LP, the Rotary Club of Elizabeth, Trinitas Hospital, the Union County Heart Grant, Harbor Consultants, American Water, BJ&M Auto, Elegant Headwear, Dario Scolas Art, the EAP, Midtown SID, Brownell and Kramer, Elmora Healthcare, Palumbo and Renoir, Sonic, Club Metro, Navet Printing, Rocking Joe, PMK, Stanley J. Appraisers, State Farm, Tropicana Diner, Suburban News, Benedictine Academy, and we believe that Menlo Hotels will also be part of this. And
Okay.
please support our sponsors as well.
Emerson, have you been through the city's diverse neighborhoods? Has it inspired Alligator Property Management Company to invest in Elizabeth and to offer more of its services to the city's communities?
Yes, I'm guilty of that. I opened up my office about a year ago, and I was a little uncertain of where to open it. And right around that time, I had ridden in the Tour de Elizabeth, and I decided to come back to Elizabeth and open my real estate office here. I also find I like to bring other people into the city and give them the exposure. It's 20 minutes outside of Manhattan. There's a lot that it has to offer, and a lot of people aren't really aware of that. So I like to bring them in and show them, and just show them the opportunity.
Right. Now, last year I had a chance to mix and mingle with some of the folks, and there were people from all over. If you know, where's maybe the farthest someone's come from?
Whew, I think Ohio so far.
Wow.
Haven't gotten further than that, but we'll get to California or Hawaii one day. We will.
We'll get 'em in.
And what other places come to mind?
But New York State, a lot come from New York State. A lot come from other parts of New Jersey, southern New Jersey.
we had some.
We have some from Massachusetts and Connecticut every year too.
Right. In addition to families, I noticed that there was also clubs getting together, different companies, sponsored teams, or whatever the case may be, bike clubs got together. So, and your daughter's thinking about getting a group.
My daughter does crew for Westfield, and we're trying to organize her entire crew team to come over and be a group.
So I mean, it can be different variations of people getting together to ride and encourage one another. If you can't finish, you don't finish. But
yeah, it builds morale and team spirit.
And like Jonathan said earlier, it gives you a chance to see the great architect here in the city of Elizabeth.
Yes.
Now, who came up with that idea this year?
The architecture?
Yeah.
Well, again, our great committee got together and we ran it past the Union County because there's a lot of, we've got that HART grant that we have to apply for very early. Like as soon as this tour ends, we've got to apply for a grant right away. So we get together actually in June, right after the tour, review how it went, and come up with a new theme pretty much right away.
So it's the day of the tour. I just finished riding the tour. Come back to City Hall. Is it time to leave, or should I hang out a few? Or what?
Glad you asked that.
Okay.
Because everybody gets a free raffle ticket.
Okay.
And if you sign up, you get a free raffle ticket. There's great prizes. We won't tell you what the prizes are. Come, see them. People win. We've had 20, 25 prizes, a lot of winners. And in fact, we just wrote a press release regarding a gentleman by the name of David Salguera. He came with his granddaughter. He's a gentleman, rides with his granddaughter every year, and he won last year.
So in addition to the ride, there's so much more. There's food.
There's free fruit. Okay. There's going to be coffee in the morning by Rockin' Joe's.
Right.
Courtesy of Rockin' Joe's. But in terms of food, we want people to actually experience Elizabeth's restaurants, and afterwards there's plenty of time to eat.
Okay. And in the case someone does not register in advance, can they register the morning of?
We want them to definitely feel free to register up to that very minute when we ride at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. And to get additional information, there's a phone number, or?
There is. Of course, there's www.groundworkelizabeth.com for a website. There's also 908-289-0262 for the telephone.
And Emerson, you are riding this year, right?
Absolutely.
So you did it before and you came back for a
Did it
second?
before, I'm doing it again, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And Angel, you riding this year?
Oh, I'll be there, absolutely, with my daughter and son.
Okay. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you for having
Any
us.
last minute words?
Be there.
Oh, we saw your little commercial. Is it on YouTube or?
Please.
Don't forget to come out on May 22nd.
May 20th.
May 20th for the 9th annual Tour de Elizabeth 2012. And one more time, Jonathan, it kicks off at?
At Winfield Scott Park, 50 Winfield Scott Plaza, Elizabeth.
And the day and time, one more time.
Again,
'Cause
May
things
20th,
have changed.
May 20th, 2012. It's Sunday. And we want you to be there 7:30 to register. The ride starts at 9 a.m.
And we got 101?
We have 101.5 radio beginning there too.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to this segment of Our City. Don't forget to join us on Facebook, facebook.com, City of Elizabeth NJ. Also the city's website, elizabethnj.org. Have a great and wonderful week. Thank you.